All right. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight for an Arts Connect Tuesday. I'm downtown, but I'm the only one in the room, so I'm using my laptop since we're having some. I think it must be ice on the cable. That's probably a good excuse for it, but having a little bit of internet problems. Uh, so we've got tonight, it's January 7th. We're already a week into 2025, which is hard to believe. And uh, we've got some terrific projects happening, and we've got still some wonderful artists in residence that are working with us. We're about 5 months into it. We've got a good number of the artists in residence here tonight with us. And the Arts Commission does a whole variety of things. And of course, one of the big pieces that we focus on is public art. Tonight, we want to talk about two projects. Both of them are in partnership with Parks and Recreation. So Katie Slusher might pop on. One of these had a lot of involvement with one of our artists in residence in creating the call. And I wanted to do a little overview. We're recording this, and we're going to post it on the pages for those calls as well. And it might just be a little additional information that an artist who's thinking about applying for the call might get. And so before we do that, though, let's catch up together. And I want to hear a little bit. I think, you know, it's kind of a cliche almost that we have resolutions at the end of the year, but there is a good, it is a good time to reflect and think about, how we're spending our lives. And this year we're going to be doing a project that Natalia is going to be leading, focused on Annie Dillard. And she has a quote that's, I think it's something like, "Of course, how we spend our days is how we spend our lives." And,
That's a good one.
yeah, it really is. And at the end of
Succinct.
yeah, yeah, but I go back to it time and again and thinking, okay, is this how I want to spend my life? The ways I'm spending my days, or the things that I'm doing, are they, adding up to things? And thought maybe, and every time I do, I think, yeah, I think we're doing terrific work. This year I've met so many great people, and a lot of those people are on the call here too. So many great people, and I get to know them by working on projects with them, which is just how I build stronger relationships, and you do it over time. And I just, I'd like to show some a little bit of gratitude for that and reflect some. But I'm also so grateful for the opportunity to be creative. And so I spent a lot of the time over the last couple of weeks being creative in different ways, doing everything from making the cards to writing. I got my trumpet out, and I haven't had that out in a while. But I want to hear from you. What's the role of creativity in your life been like lately, or anything you want to kind of mention about how you're spending your days. And if there's a volunteer who wants to go first, I'll let you volunteer. Joy.
Hi. I've been finally getting back into the swing of things because I was up in Michigan for a while helping out my mom, and everything changes when you go to somebody else's space. So I didn't do any singing or anything. I was just, there's like not the same kind of jive. But ever since I've gotten back into town, I've finally gotten into my groove, and I'm playing my harmonium and singing every day. And we've had snow days past 2 days. School's off tomorrow. That's where I work. I work in middle school, so it's just like, yay, I get another day off. I can just spend the day doing music and getting caught up with Arts Connect stuff. So that's been really eye-opening for me, where like, I love working with kids and everything, but my heart is really we're being creative and singing and helping people with their voice. So yeah, it's like, what changes can I make in the coming year?
Terrific. Who wants to go next?
I'll go ahead.
Thanks, Natalia.
Sort of going in the opposite direction of joy. My New Year's resolution, I don't usually make one, but I kept repeating this little mantra to myself at the end of last year, and it's do less. um, and not necessarily in a lazy way, but just when I start feeling overwhelmed by things, just like figure out how to cut it down into a manageable shape or size and just like get rid of the rest. Just like don't even worry about it. It's like just practice not having busy brain, I guess. And as part of that, I'm not taking a I'm taking a sort of a little, I don't know, I guess sabbatical from making artwork. Not from being creative, but more engaging with other people's creative work and just like letting it rest.
Great. Right. We'll be interested in hearing how that how that feels and what's generated from that at the later on in the year. I bet it'll have some impact.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Corey.
So let me get can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think my biggest challenge is probably just being organized. So I thought about making a list because I'll do a project or work on a project and I'll have like 1,000 folders on my desktop. So I thought about just getting an old school poster board and a marker and just being like, here's my list of stuff. And which I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but I just got finished working on a t-shirt. There you go. For Radio Free Roanoke. And so those just became available today and I posted it on my Facebook and my Instagram. So if anybody likes Radio Free Roanoke, they've got a new t-shirt that I drew. So I'll probably be trying to put that out there and get people to buy them up.
That's excellent. And I would love to see the design. So I've made you a co-host if you're able to find a way to it, or you can tell us and we can look it up.
I can show you.
Great. And while you're doing that, we'll hear from Brandon.
Okay.
I personally haven't made any like clearly defined New Year's resolutions. I'm usually the kind of guy that's like, I just want to be better than I was last year, and just all areas of my life. But creatively, I've been in a place of just gathering supplies. I've been a little bit technologically challenged for the past years. So I just got a new iPad. And so that's going to be a great help with the sketching and drafting. And what else? Just been just I don't know. I just feel like just mentally I've been more of in a creative place. Like sometimes I'm in this rut where it's like I'll like have my whatever you want to call it logistical hat on, and then I have to put my creative hat on. And I'm starting to feel those juices flowing where I'm prepared. I'm like, I got my books, I recently got a book that's it's like a collection of like great anime artists. So I've been wanting to gather some inspiration from the book and just sort of, I'm like in a inspirational sort of place as far as my creativity is concerned. And usually when I'm like that, like I just gather a lot of information and then spit out a bunch of creative stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Put things into the stew pot, as it were.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let it cook.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that's part of that magic, right? All the different things that are happening in your head, the influences, you never know where something's emerging from. Sometimes after you create the work, you look at it a couple of years later and you're like, oh, I know I know how that happened, or I know part of how that happened. And you can see it, but sometimes in the process, you don't even know what's influencing it.
Yeah.
Jasmine,
Can you hear me?
sure can. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Um, really, I'm just trying to work on my health and stuff like that. Probably get back into, right now I just been finished working on Jane's banners, but probably get back into maybe sewing a garment or two
I
for
saw
this year.
I saw your picture in the Tribune with the
Oh,
yeah
okay.
from the
Yeah.
Kwanzaa event at the Harrison. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that, so I'll look it up.
I've got a copy of it sitting here on my table. But it looked like that
Okay.
was a good event. Congratulations on
Thank,
that work.
thank you.
If you don't mind me asking, what kind of garments do you like to sew? That's really cool.
I do dresses and stuff. I like to do more like I do more like formal wear, kind of more like I'm trying to get into maybe more like wearable art type pieces. That's
That sounds
eventually where
really
I want to
technically
go.
challenging.
Thank you.
That sounds really cool.
Thank you.
Great. All right. And I think I got everybody. And then I'm gonna look. Oh, it's funny how this works completely differently in let's see, share. I don't know what I'm looking at now. It's amazing how how Zoom is totally different on this machine. I was going to share my screen or maybe I hit a wrong button. Let me try it again. Share screens, desktop. There should be a way to share a window rather than my entire screen, and I'm not seeing it. Okay, I can do it by sharing the whole screen. It's going to be a little messier, but
Is it in
Um,
the advanced settings? Like, do you see if you,
a portion of screen.
yeah, you can do a portion of screen and then it creates like a little square and then you can drag
Okay.
the square around to show.
Okay, I'll try it that way. Okay, so first off, let me show this. Are we looking at the right thing?
I believe so.
Yeah, the
Yeah, you
radio.
just have to hit the X to get the login thing to go away. So I looked at it
Oh,
too.
is that not the logo? Oh, this is the T-shirt.
Oh, we got the, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were looking at it. Oh, I love it. Look at that. It's got the star up on top of the transmitter, and there's Heather being the model.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I will run out and order one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so that's one thing we're showing. And then now we're going to turn our attention to another window. And I want to talk about, and I will edit some of this down when we post it online for the for these calls. But we'd like to talk now a little bit. Let's see. So this is only a portion of the screen. You can't see my whole window. I'll have to make my window smaller, right?
But you can also make the box bigger or smaller. You can like drag the sides of the box around to go around whatever you want to look at. You know what I mean?
Oh, annotate. Oh, here, there, I have to get it just at the right spot. Okay. Woohoo! Joy, I'm gonna say, Joy, you're gonna give us a lesson in all this one day.
Okay, I can do that. That's one way I can be helpful. Very
Yeah.
useful for teaching online, which I did for a while.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk about two projects that are out right now. One is the Elmwood Art Walk Call, which we do every 2 years, and the other is the Wasena Rebar Redux. And this is a one-off, a new one that's due very soon. This is due on the 17th of January. It came out earlier in December. And we have pieces of the Wasena Bridge, just the rebar from inside the concrete. And we are going to give 120 pieces to an artist, if they're willing, to create some art for us. And this we hope it's something that kind of holds some space. They can have up to 120 different pieces of rebar. We'll pay them $5,000 to create the work. We'll build the foundation. The rebar is not necessarily going to look exactly like that brand new rebar because it's used rebar. And this is what it looks like when it when it comes out of the bridge. We're not going to give it to them like that as a big nest of rebar, but it will be in 5 foot lengths. And you can see that's a shot of the bridge coming down. And there's going to be a lot of effort to kind of remember that bridge. There's going to be a lot of effort to create some new, I guess, refine the place of Wasena Park, because it's a park that's kind of grown over years and had different elements added to it. And soon underneath this, there will be a skate park, not right underneath it, but next to it. So we've got images of where the skate park is going to be. You can see there's the bridge next to it. This is just, computer rendering. There's on this website or the webpage, roanokearts.org/redux, you can see a flyover of this space as well. Now, there's going to be I think there's probably going to be some artwork incorporated in the skate park as well, which is going to be cool. This piece, the artist is going to be able to help us cite it. So it could be somewhere, around those trees or whatnot. Who knows what we're going to get? But we do the call like this just to partner with the community and say, hey, what can we do? And that's a lot of what we're doing with our artists in residence here on the call tonight as well. And I want to talk, as we're closing up, I want to talk about a couple more projects that we've been kind of advancing. But Carrie Galt wrote this call. She's one of our artists in residence, and she was able to create the call. She's a mosaicist and is an architect by training, and she has responded to lots of calls. So she was a great one to help us write the call and shape it and think about specific questions. So this came out at the end of November. It'll be due on the 17th of January. We'll have a panel. Every time we do a call like this, we have a panel that's representative of the community. So we'll have people who are for a project like this. Parks and Recreation will be part of it. We'll have neighborhood folk part of it. We have to have a professional artist as part of it. This call, we might actually use the same panel that we're using with the Elmwood Art Walk. And we'll talk about that in a second. But the panels are a lot of fun. And we try to not really go back to the same people for panels. Usually we have, one of the questions is, have you ever served on a panel? And they say no. We say, no, why don't you serve on a panel? It'll be fun. And then that's a way to make sure that, we're considering all kinds of things, different users for the park, people who have special knowledge about it. But also it's fun to have different kinds of artists involved in it. So you could have, a performing artist who's looking at a visual project and have a very different response. So that project, we hope that we'll have it kind of put in place in the summer. All this information is online at roanokearts.org/redux. And when we ask someone to apply, we ask them for their resume, for samples of relevant work, for a concept proposal, including like how it's going to be attached, and then what their concept is for it. So this is kind of almost, a little back of the napkin sketch where someone says, I think I could use, 25 of those rebar pieces and shape, X, and then here's how I'd attach it. So we hope we get some responses for this. And it's going to be a terrific project. That whole, when the new bridge is beautiful, it's going to be a work of art in itself. So I think this is kind of a fun fun thing happening now. And we wanted to connect the dots and make sure everybody knew about that. And then the other fun one is the Elmwood Art Walk. And I'll step back a little bit and talk about the role of our program. We've called it for over the years Art in Roanoke, which is very simple. And this Art in Roanoke, and look, I bet I can even, you're looking at yourselves a little bit. I bet I can get all that moved over. Okay. We have done, this is the 8th round of this. We will put a call out and we'll rent sculpture from artists for a 2-year period. So we started this a good number of years ago. And when we first started it, it was in neighborhoods. And we did 2 rounds where we put sculpture in neighborhoods. So say a place where there's a park in a neighborhood or city-owned property that was very visible. And then we redid the Elmwood Art Walk. And the Elmwood Art Walk has the 10 pads. And so once we had those pads in that new beautiful Elmwood Park, we had the obligation to put art on the pads. And so we centralized our sculpture project and have largely done sculpture on Elmwood Park. After art goes in place, if it's something the community really likes, and this has always been part of the program, that someone can say, hey, this is terrific. Is there a way we can purchase that? And we can work with partners to see if we can purchase it. So 2 of the pieces on the Elmwood Art Walk, Descending Night, which is a figurative work of bent metal, and I can show a picture of it in a second. That's a permanent piece that we bought from the first round of the Elmwood Art Walk art call. And then the other is Jim Collins' uphill climb that has mountain bikes going up a mountain. So those 2 are permanent. And there's one other one that I've lost the name of it, that's permanent down there now. And it's the big angular one with the glass blocks on it. And I'll come up with the name of the artist in that work in a moment, or we'll pull it up because it's on this page. So does everybody recognize the dog in Granite?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that dog came out of this art call. That was a temporary piece that local artist Ann Glover did, and it was meant to last there in that neighborhood project in Grandin Village for 18 months. And it needed some work. It almost lasted the 18 months, but it was made of marine paint and plywood. And the neighborhood loved it so much, they said, hey, is there a way we can make it permanent? So they worked with Ann, and the city put some money into it. The neighborhood put some money into it. And a local fabricator, 4DD Designs, which was in Roanoke and is now in Bedford County, they use a proprietary system and created this new version of the work, which is called Trojan Dog. And if you look at it, it's it's a toy dog that you can see it's wrapped on it's got like the kind of toy dog that you would pull on a flat piece of board with wheels on it. And so you can see it's got that bar kind of through the front legs. So and we've got, look, I can't believe that thing's working now. It wasn't working before. That's why. But Jefferson just came in, and the screen wasn't working before, but now it is. So he's probably like walking to that computer. So at any rate, that dog, or Trojan Dog, also has a name, and not everybody knows about the name. But Anne, when she was creating the work, always referred to him as George. Yeah. So now you can say, hi, George. Now you know you're an insider because you're on this. You're an insider. And George is turning 15 years old this year. 15 years ago, that dog was created. And we are celebrating that by making the call this year larger than life. And we're encouraging artists to submit things that are the everyday made big. So you can think of, there are some famous works out there, and I'll mangle the name. I shouldn't mangle it. Claes Oldenburg, I'll say. That's close, but not quite right. An artist who created some really significant works kind of in that realm. So we'll see what we get with that call, and that's due at the end of January. So if you know any sculptors, or if you've got a friend and you want to submit something, we don't have to know, you don't have to create it by January. You can create the concept. Or if you know of a work that's out there, and I know of a work that a local artist has that fits, and I've talked to them, I'm like, yeah, it'd be terrific. You should submit that for it. What we do is we will, if someone's selected, then they'll have between now and May to create the work. If the work's already existing, it just has to be available come May, and we pay $4,500 for the 2-year lease on this. And it's fun. I'm always amazed when I'm down there. I typically see people looking at the art, so they do notice it. And some people, it's listed as a tourist site. So some people, when they come into town, they make a point of coming down to look at it because they see it advertised. So larger than life, on the website, the call, we've got the community context. There's a site called Cafe. If you've never looked at it, it has art calls, and it's free for the artist to, especially on art calls, it's always free to apply. Some calls on their artists have to pay for, and that's just part of the model of those programs. Ours are free. We pay to have it on Cafe. So it could be something fun to go check out and just see what kind of things are on there, or what things communities are looking for. And this is very similar. We ask the artist to describe the work, how they're going to put it in place, and then we pay the stipend on the front end for this. Then part of what we hope, when we get these 7, say we've got 7 pads we can fill down there. If we find other art that we're interested in having in place, we can that we could put in a neighborhood, say. We can work with Parks and Recreation. Maybe if there's a place or a pad we could put it on, or perhaps we can even pour a pad. We are interested in trying to get art into the neighborhoods again, as well, as we're getting our legs under us with the art walk. Since we've got some permanent pieces there, that gives us a little extra budget now to put some more in neighborhoods. And that's it. And again, there'll be a panel that will review everything. If you look on my website, we've got a layout of where the pads are, and then we've got all of the old calls. So you can go on there and see all the old, not calls, but all of the old exhibits. So we've got kind of a record of what exhibits we've had there, what works have been in place. And I must not have hit the save button, but I also put a Google walkthrough, so anyone who's applying could walk through and look at that. But so, expect this summer that we'll have new art there, and that'll be there for 2 years. And that's a little bit more about our temporary public art program and about calls. And I mentioned the jury. So if anybody's interested in being on a jury at any point, just let me know, or a jury, a panel. I think we're going to see if Carrie Galt can be on this panel, since she wrote the call for the rebar one. And yeah, I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts on that stuff? I'll stop the share.
This is really such an aside, but thank you for sharing the history of George the dog. because I remember the original one. And at the time, I wasn't in that area very often. So I remember one day driving past what must be the new one. And I was like, that looks different. And I thought I was insane a little bit. So I'm glad that I did notice it correctly.
You did. You did indeed. And we did, it has been, well, I'll step back on another way too. When we put calls out through purchasing, or we put a call out, we put it out nationally. And it used to be that our reading of the state procurement laws was that we had to put it out nationally if it was over like $5,000, anything we did. And we always said, well, we want to work with our local artist. And how can we do that? And we, back then they weren't very supportive of that. Our reading now of the procurement law is very different. And even in the comprehensive plan for the city plan 2040, it says in there that we want to prioritize local businesses, which is great. But we can build relationships with artists, and we don't have to go out to on that national call, and we can work over time. And we know the artists, they know the community, they're comfortable in the community. There's a lot of value in that. It doesn't mean we won't go out and bring some other artists in sometimes as well, because we want to learn from other artists. And we've had artists who are from out of the community who have done wonderful work in our neighborhoods and in spaces. So Napoleon Jones Henderson working with in Melrose Library on those sculptures, Cheryl Foster working on the market building mosaics. When they dedicated that market building or rededicated it, it was people loved her so much, and they'd watched her working on those mosaics after time. And as they'd walked past, they had told her stories about the market building as they grew up. And she was a repository of those oral histories. And she said, "Oh, that's wonderful. Here, you want to put this tile in for me?" And they got to help put the mosaic tile in. So artists from out of the community can do a wonderful job. So don't get me wrong. We also want to help our artists in the community grow. And sculpture on that sculpture call, it's no joke to do public sculpture. It's got to be, you're working on it at a bit large scale. It's got to be safe, etc. And so it takes a while often to get to that level. And we want to help more artists get to that level. And so, and we did it was a very early iteration of this kind of work that we did. We did a series in 2008, 2019, I guess. We did a series and had Ann Glover talk about the development of the dog and how she did it and what it's like to work with a fabricator. And we did a session on what you need to do to be insured. And we can do that kind of work again or get that information out. So if anybody's interested in, starting to try their hand in something like that, just, reach out, because we want to be supportive of artist growth at the same time that we're getting quality work in. And one final thing, we've had some terrific conversations lately. Natalia, we're focusing on looking at the Tinker Creek Greenway and having some terrific conversation and developing a project. And we're looking forward to that. Brandon was out at Washington Park, and Brandon, we've had some progress on that, and you're going to be hearing soon about some ways we're going to get a number of us together to create a project around the pool house there that we saw, and that we're going to work to muralize that pool house or get a mural on it. So we've got we're going to try and develop a project in a way we haven't done it, and with the way that we haven't done before, because we have the artist in residence here and available and ready to go. But for each of these, we'll step back and we'll do some listening, and we'll be engaging the community. And that Washington Park one in particular will be very much community focused. And I think we'll probably weave in some story circles And Joy's been digging into the story circles. And I think they're going to be pretty powerful. So yeah, so anything that's on you, I told you tonight would be a quick one. Any thoughts that are on your mind?
I would be really interested to be at least part of the I don't know, planning with sessions, or for the pool mural, because when I heard that idea put forth, I initially, during that Washington Park meeting that we had, yeah, I thought that was a really, really neat idea.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we'll be reaching out around that. I'm afraid to turn that on. If I'm gonna mess it up if I do. Let me see if I can do this. It kept shutting off on me, and I'm gonna hit two things. I'm gonna do two things here. Working on two computers. All right, maybe I don't know why that's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you just wanted me on camera?
Yeah, I wanted you on camera there. Now Jefferson had a, and I don't know why am I so big? Why isn't it? Oh, I don't know why.
Because you're in your laptop and you're also in your name on the small one. That's the right size.
Oh, yeah.
I can be that size if I sit up like an adult. You mentioned that the statues are either going in or need to be available by May after the end of January deadline for submission.
Yeah.
They're going in when in May?
We've got
Because I've got Street Performer Expo on Mother's Day weekend, and if it's, we're doing tourism and stuff, they'd love to point that out.
Yeah, it'll be, and I was thinking that when I designed it, I was thinking, we want to have the, how busy Elmwood Park is, and all the events they have at Elmwood Park, the marathon ends there.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to have it up for the marathon. So I said we'd take them down at the end of April, but I'm not sure. It's always a big checkerboard with all the artists I've got 2 weeks where they're supposed to be bringing them in, but it might be running right up to that. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Once we know who the artists are, we might be able to fiddle with it a little bit, but I didn't know that was going to be May 10th.
Yeah.
When we put the call out.
Yeah. Oh, so the submission, the statue need to be completed and ready for display on May 10th?
And hopefully,
Cool.
around there.
So it's all the same weekend? That's
No,
great.
that's not good. It's a lot of work being down there and getting everything put in place.
Yeah.
And so we got the day. You know why Jefferson's saying that? Because the Daisy Art Parade and the Street Performer Festival will be happening. On Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah.
Anything else?
When you mentioned being on a jury or something, what is that for?
So anytime we do a public art call or selecting a project where it's competitive, like some of the projects I just said, like we're starting to move into a world where we're developing some of our own projects that aren't competitive, where we're just doing it slowly over time with our artists in residence. But other ones will be competitive, and anytime they are, then we do a panel, and we have to have 2 artists. We have to have a member of the Roanoke Arts Commission, stakeholders, neighbors.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I said we try to make sure we have keep inviting new people in to be, and so usually we're like, have you ever been on a panel? And they say no, then we pull them in. But I might put out a call and have a running list. I think we're kind of supposed to, by policy, have a running list of people who would be panelists.
Cause I have a horror story about a statue, which makes me interested in throwing my hat in for that.
We're only telling good stories tonight.
Oh no, it's a cute horror story.
Okay.
It's just an annoying one for me. It's fine normally.
Is it in our community?
It's not.
Oh.
It's a good mistake to not make.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
tell us, and don't name the community, but tell us what the horror story was.
There is a city that's very good for busking, a few hours south of here. And they have put up a statue, which is it's titled An Ode to Buskers,
Oh, nice.
on a spot where you could perform.
Oh, no.
So they took away a spot to perform out of respect. So it's like, I have a relationship with statues.
That's funny. They should have done an ode to buskers and just had the
Plaque.
the pedestal
Yeah,
to stand on.
yeah, just give me a little 6-inch riser of concrete, I'm good.
In fact, we talked about that in my head. I'm like, oh, it would be great when if we ever get all those pedestals down there empty to do something like that. But it's a little, it's not as much fun as being right on the street.
Sure.
Or having a fashion show, living fashion show or something.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody got anything else? Well, thank you all, and we'll be in touch, and yeah, keep creating.
All right, cool. Is that it?
That's good. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, you know what? I
Thank
think I
you.
there.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had the sound off there. We couldn't hear them if they said anything.
Oh.
That's why it was so quiet. Yeah. Sorry about that. Did anybody say anything that we missed?
They were just saying bye.
Okay, good. Okay, good. All right. Technology. See ya.
See ya.
I-